Welcome to Older Militaris Radio TV, and we're lifelong Catholics, and what we do is all for free. Intro love of Jesus Christ, intro Holy Mother, the Church, and we'll defend our Holy Mother, the Church. This is Artsakh Genocide Day 10, and we are with Brother Alexis Bonello.
Thank you, AJ, for having me on Order Militaris Radio TV for this special series on the ongoing humanitarian tragedy that began to unfold on September 19th of this year, when the Azeri government decided to begin to genocide and ethnically cleanse the Artsakh Republic, a land where Armenians have lived for 7,000 years. I ask you to like and share this program. You're going to hear things here that you're not going to hear anywhere in mainstream media, because the Azerbaijani Republic is a puppet state of the Rothschilds, British Petroleum backing them. And so all the media in the West and all the politicians of the West are backing them. And the Christians have no voice. So we're trying to be a voice for Christians. And this series is specifically to promote the Armenian Refugee Fund, a humanitarian fund with a 501c3 dedicated purpose to help these refugees in the Republic of Armenia make it through the winter. I want to thank the donors who have donated just over $2,000 in the last 10 days. And our ad for this humanitarian fund has been seen by more than 300,000 individuals. And I want to thank the 20 of Have Humanity. So we see there's a big problem worldwide of Christians realizing that the Armenians, the first Christian nation, need their help or deserve their help or merit their help. So this is what our program is today. And we'll feature every day through this tragedy as much as we're able to, the facts on the ground. So how many refugees have crossed the border so far, AJ, into Armenia?
70,500 so far as of last night.
Okay, so they're going to need around 280 million in humanitarian aid. How much humanitarian aid has been donated so far by nations, AJ?
11 million euro by the EU. I think 57 or 15 million in medical aid by France, and then another $11 million by the United States. And Spain has done the best route possible. They skipped the money and sent supply stuff.
I think the Trudeau government in Canada sent $2.5 million. Okay, so if you consider the amount of humanitarian aid sent to the Ukraine, which is about $750 million, this is disproportionate by the mere fact that though there are only 120,000 people in Artsakh, it's an act of genocide, and they have no army defending them. At least they had none until the few forces they had surrendered. Sanctions. Has any nation declared sanctions on the Azeris for this horrible crime against humanity?
The pro-Armenian faction in the Canadian Parliament's working on that. And then 96 members of the U.S. Senate and House, both Republican and Democrat, are calling for Joe Biden to sanction the Azerbaijani leaders for what they have done.
Are there is there news about what has happened to the leadership of the Artsakh Republic?
Yeah, one man who followed me on Twitter, and I followed him. What was it? Let me get his title right here. Excuse me, folks. Come on, where you at, buddy? Foreign Minister David Babian turns himself in so that no one else can be hunted, and Azerbaijani won't take it out on the people for him trying to escape like some other folks have tried to do.
Okay, so it's so bad that they're not only hunting the leadership, but they're persecuting the few Armenians who haven't yet escaped. We saw the miles and miles of traffic of Armenians fleeing in cars, but What about the Armenians who are so poor not to have cars? What does this trip out of Artsakh into Armenia entail for them?
Yeah, so they would have to climb up into cargo trucks, or what we call dump trucks here in America. Makes themselves comfortable as best as possible. If they have blankets, they can cover up with that, but the elderly and infants are being exposed to weird, different temperatures and heavy rains, and people are dying from it.
This is terrible. So, any more news about Ruben? I don't know how to say his last name, Artsakh. He was one of the heads of government. He's the Russian billionaire who's half Armenian, half Jewish. He came and joined the Artsakh
Yeah,
government. He was arrested yesterday.
yeah. Well, they finally showed him with little dinky handcuffs and put him into a prison cell, saying first he has a 4 month detention for trying to escape, and he'll face a 14-year prison sentence for helping support the terrorist cause of Artsakh troops trying to fight and kill Azerbaijanis. And
The Azeris call the Armenians terrorists to justify their genocide. They're not terrorists, it's just self-defense. The act of terrorism is an act to switch the political balance or thought of a people through acts of violence. Artsakh was never involved in that. What is the Armenian government doing, or what has been the response to this horrible crime against humanity?
well, at the start, Passion didn't want them to come to Yerevan, so he's putting them all around the country on the border areas. And now they're sending Greyhound buses for those who don't have ways of getting out. So that's better than dump trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is Armenia complaining to Russia for the fact that their peacekeepers didn't do anything to stop this?
yeah, night and day.
Is Armenia thinking of leaving the Russian alliance, or?
The Armenian people already burnt their Russian passports.
The Armenian ambassador went to Israel the other day. What was that about?
Oh, to celebrate, what was this? I think it was Yom Kippur or something. Also to thank him for whatever, and right during the time when the Israeli weapons are being used against the Artsakh people.
Yeah, it was a scandal, an international scandal. What is some of the social media shares that have been the most poignant in the last 24 hours?
Uh-huh. So we're having more intelligent memes put out by the Armenians showing about how Israel helped Azerbaijan commit the Artsakh genocide, and more about Turkey and Russia being exposed. And then we have Anonymous coming back again, taking down all the government websites of Azerbaijan, and now they're studying how to take down even more stuff of Azerbaijan to really hurt them for what they have done.
Yeah, Anonymous put out some very good statements. One of them was that they can't even share the images that they're finding on social media on computer networks of Azeris beheading Christians alive. And once those images get to the West, the outrage will be complete. But the media in the West is consenting it. They should be showing that, because protecting Nazis and anyone who acts with this kind of vicious genocide is inhumane. That itself is a crime. It's a collaboration after the fact or during the fact. What has been the social media reaction to Mel Gibson's state that the world should come to the defense of Armenia?
it's really woken up the Catholics. It's like we forgot about those people. We didn't really know about those people.
Yeah, and I want to thank Mel Gibson again for that statement. We've noticed that too on fundraising, but this is going to be out of the news cycle in a few more days. But the needs of these Christian refugees are going to remain throughout the winter. So I would plead with you, I would urge you not only to share this program, but make a generous donation. Think what it would be like to be driven out of your homeland where your people have lived for 7,000 years. Have no government on your side, no media talk about it other than to praise your persecutors, and ever pretend that nothing has happened. And no international organizations even setting up pages specifically to help you in your humanitarian needs. We're the only organization, as far as I know, that actually has a fundraiser just for these refugees. So yesterday we began our 7-point program where we talk about qualifications of aid organizations, because in the last war in 2020, a certain group started a fundraiser associated with the JP Morgan Bank and raised over $120 million. None of it went to the actual victims of the war, as far as I know, and wherever it was spent, I don't know, it was infrastructure property. So they diverted nearly all the humanitarian appeal that people wanted to send to the people in Artsakh to other causes. And we're concerned that that will happen again this time. So at the end of each of these programs, beginning yesterday, we talk about one specific charity and we rate them on a 7-point criteria. And I'm looking up the criteria now. So we rated
Those.
We rated them, I think they got 3 stars
Mm-hmm.
on our criteria. We rated ourselves, Order Military Sync. We rated ourselves 5 stars. Is it possible? The total possible is 7 stars. And let me just get this link here. Browser's not being cooperative. Alas, I lost the chat, I think. Okay, I'll remember off the top of my hands. Okay. So the first criteria, we're going to talk about all Armenia, because all Armenia was reported to be on the border handing out sacks of food to people who drove in their cars. And that's a wonderful thing. They gave them a little sack of food, but as everyone knows, that will last a day. Okay, so All Armenia, though, is one of the largest humanitarian organizations in Armenia, and they do wonderful work. So what we have to say here is should not in any way be implied to be an attempt to devalue their work. Where our criteria based on organizations helping the Armenian refugees. So our first of all question is, do they have a page where they're raising funds exclusively for the Armenian refugees from this conflict?
Not for this conflict, but for the last one.
Okay, so it's been 10 days and they still haven't set up a page. And, our organization's been around only 7 years. We set up a page within 24 hours. So it can be done. Organizations can do it. So that's a big question mark. If you send money to them, where would your money be going? And are they staffed by Armenians?
Yes, all of them.
Okay, so that's 1 star. Do they have ties to the government that is not friendly of Armenia, which is not friendly to Artsakh?
I don't think so, because they're a mix of Armenian proper and Armenian Artsakh people. Okay,
so that's 2 stars. Are they on the ground helping the refugees? They definitely are. We see them in videos. That's 3 stars. Do they use, now when they take their donations, do we know what banks they're using?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that here.
Okay, so one of the criteria is, do they use banks that are owned or controlled by the Rothschilds? Because the Rothschilds are the ones who control Azerbaijan. So if you're sending your money through a bank controlled by the Rothschilds, you're at risk of 2 things. You're enriching the people who caused the genocide, and you might be revealing your personal information to the Azeri government. and so you don't want to do that.
They don't say, but they have it set up as a 501c3 tax-exempt organization as by U.S. law. So,
Okay, so they have a charity in the United States. Do they have any bank information to send them a bank wire?
you have to click on the buttons.
So go click on the button and see what happens.
Doesn't say where it goes to.
It doesn't say who's taking the money or where it's going to. Okay, so when you're making a payment to a charity, you should know who the money is going to. Like if you make a payment on our platform for the Armenian refugees, you see immediately it's going to Order Militaris Inc. It's not going anywhere else. And you'll see that we use PayPal for our online things. So you know exactly what it's going to. Because if you use Stripe is a Turkish-Israeli organization. We used them the last time we did a fundraising for Armenia in 2020, and our Stripe cut our account off as we started helping the Armenians, and that's because they are allied with Azerbaijan. So I'd say they don't get a star for that. They missed the stars in those two. So they have 3 stars. They got 3 stars out of a possible 7. And maybe we could grant them a half. We were doubtful in the others, so maybe we could get to 4 stars. And think of these things when you make a donation. This is important. Is an organization going to have a dedicated fund just for these refugees? And I would sure hope what these refugees are going to need, they're going to need long-term housing. Think of the orphans and the widows who are going to take care of these people. And especially in the country of Armenia, where the government doesn't really want them near the capital. So how are they going to get social welfare aid if they don't have a car, if there's no one to, how are they going to get schooling? How are they going to get psychological help? How are they going to help finding their dead loved ones? How are they going to get a job? There's 120,000. Now maybe with 120,000, then they're not so bad off. We know at least the ones who haven't yet gotten out are so poor they can't get out. So that could be 50,000, although maybe 20, 30,000 have already been genocided and murdered. So it's maybe 20,000 individuals. And that's what our fund is dedicated to. And so I ask you to be generous in making a donation. You can do it either by Apple Pay or GPay through our Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can do it through PayPal or WisePay through our main corporate appeal. And you can also do it by bank wire. In 4 different currencies, you can send a donation in US dollars, pound sterling, euro, and Australian dollars.
This is Order Militaris Radio TV signing off. Day is full.
Day is full.